chat. I'm trying different timetables to see what you guys are comfortable with, and maybe I can find an hour where I'm not too sleepy or too tired in order to stream. And I think this is the perfect sweet spot for the European. I do have some European subscribers, believe it or not. Some of them from the United Kingdom and a couple from Germany, according to the statistics. I got statistics, I'm like an expert. So I'll try to stream for you guys every now and then. But for the Amerikanski, I will be appearing on Arch as a co-host. And I'll stream for you guys then. It's going to be very late for me, though. It's probably like 1 a.m. or something. I don't know how long Arch streams. See, I should have done the research before agreeing. Because if he streams for like 4 hours, I'll probably say, nay, like a horse. That's high on ivermectin. It is 5 p.m. here, if you're wondering. And I do wonder why Kai Drakai is in the chat. Like, if I stream at 4 a.m., Kai Drakai is there. If I stream at 5 p.m., he's also here. I don't know when I can stream in order to be Kai Drakailas. Not that I want to be Kai Drakailas, but it's just I'm wondering about his sleeping schedule. Anyway, I don't have that many Romanians, Christy. I think you're one of the few. Believe it or not, I know it's weird. Like, my channel name is Romanian TV, and yet I get 3, maybe 4 Romanians. Which is fine, by the way. I'm surrounded by Romanians in my day-to-day life. So, I guess I might need a little bit multiculturalism in my chat. Rozal Himn is upset that I'm taking his spotlight. Well, you know, Rozal Himn, it is what it is. You mean you'll be hosting his show with him as a guest, you know? I should say that. I'm pretty sure it will not upset him. Hold on, give me a second. Let's see. All right. 3 p.m. in Ireland. Yeah. I know. Ireland is like 2 hours behind Romania. I can see the future. I know what's going to happen and you don't. Right, look at this news. This is something that I found a little bit bizarre. It talks a lot about human IQ. A grenade that a volunteer had brought from the front exploded in an apartment building in Krasnodar. The incident occurred in an apartment while Krill 34 was drinking alcohol with his friends. Only volunteer Krill received shrapnel wounds, the others were not injured. I do have to ask, because I see this all the fucking time on the news. Well, not all the fucking time, but it happens so often that it shouldn't, right? Someone finds a grenade, or a shell, or some explosive, usually from World War II. I guess this one is a little bit more recent. And they start poking at it. Or they bring it home. Like, chat, what would you do if you... Okay, so you don't get this in America because you didn't have the conflict in your backyard. But assume you find a grenade in your garden, right? Like, you're using a shovel and all of a sudden it goes like ding ding, you strike metal, you look at it, holy shit, it's a grenade. What do you do? Huh? What do you do? A legit question. How do you proceed? Like, your brain realizes it takes you a little bit to understand what's going on. Like, what do you do? Because I personally, you know what I would fucking do? I would call the Romanian equivalent of 911 and I wouldn't touch that shit even if you paid me. I think that is like the normal healthy... Yeah, call the cops. Exactly. Exactly. Call the fucking cops. Why would you take it home? Why would you take it home? That is... Like, alright, so it's a grenade. You can buy a replica. Why do you want one that can be live? If you want a grenade that badly, you can buy a replica. You pull the pin on the granite? Why? Why would you do that? You die since the odds of setting off with a ding 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 are high. Okay, so let me tell you what happens. Like, you get it on the news here. You have like some peasant in his garden with a shovel, and all of a sudden he does go dig 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 and he realizes, oh shit, this is a tank shell from World War II. It can happen, right? Like, so he digs it out and then he starts poking it with a screwdriver and eventually it goes boom, and you hear about it on the news. You know, he lost some fingers, he lost a hand. Like, no one actually died from it. I don't know why. I think like the expiration date may have something with it. Like it doesn't cause the same boom like it used to. But still, like I just wish I could speak with these people and ask them, what the fuck were you thinking? What were you trying to achieve? Like, did you want to know how the inside is like? Did you want to sell that information to the Russians? Like, were you low on adrenaline that day and you wanted a little boost of dopamine? Like, why would you do that? Fuck is wrong with you? Do you want to use a 3D printer and replicate it and you had to see how the inside of it looks like? My fucking god, you know, we're so lucky we actually didn't get to a nuclear warfare. Like, imagine if someone actually found a nuke in their backyard. That's one that didn't explode. And that person starts poking it. Wasn't that a quest in Fallout? I think it was a quest in Fallout. Oh. Julianne, welcome to the chat. The thing is, like, imagine the people that lived in the apartment building. Because that's the problem, right? Like, if someone wants to go and poke it... I'm not like the Americans. You know, like in America, you have to pretend it's a tragedy. But, like, if someone is dumb enough to do something like that and start poking it, on the internet, we call it Darwin Award for a reason. Like, dude, no one forced you to. Like, you should have known better. You know, that type of thing. But I do feel bad for the people around. Like, the people around aren't to blame. Like, they didn't ask for that shit. Nukes, you have to make everything go perfect. Just stop reading my joke. They have grenades in museums all the time. It's mostly perfectly safe. I'm pretty sure, like, the grenades in the museums are disarmed, though. Like, they know how to, you know, get the gunpowder or whatever the fuck it is that makes it go boom. They know how to get that out of the grenade. So they're most likely defused. I don't think they have live grenades in museums. Last thing you want to do is use the grenade and not have the grenade anymore. They're great for home defense. Chuck one down the hallway when the door gets kicked and you're good to go. I don't even know if you can use grenades as a defensive weapon. Like, you're going to ruin your house. Like, if I have to choose between a live grenade exploding in my house versus some burglar taking my shit, I would probably get the burglar to take my shit because it's cheaper to replace that than to just... Like, I mean, the house can collapse, you know? It's not something that I would recommend. Yeah, so that was something that happened. Another thing which happened, and I had to double check if this is true. I still haven't confirmed it, but if it's true, holy shit. What is Disney doing? What is Disney doing, huh? What is this? What have they done to Mace Windu? Why are they treating Mace Windu in such a disrespectful manner? Why is this uncharitable drawing of Master Windu? Disney, do better. And on Black History Month as well. Like, seriously, like, usually artists use a model for facial reference. I'm curious, what did they use? I really want to know, like, when they drew this, what did they use as a model? And by the way, you know, I keep saying this, but now that I'm making a video game, which is predominantly selling feature is the art. If an artist came to me with this shit, I would not hire them. You know why? Because I told people, it's like, look, the thing that you did is really great for DeviantArt. It's really great for Pixiv. But I'm trying to get money from people. I'm trying to convince people to pay me money for the product. I can't, you know, like, I would embarrass myself if I present that to the public. Is that Mojo Jojo not Mace Windu? Dude, I don't know. Like, Disney is behaving very bizarre. I think the fact that they're losing money is going to their head. I think they're panicking, and now they're like, oh shit, you don't want to see our movies? Oh, I'll show you representation. You don't like diversity? Alright, well, maybe we can get the right-wingers to watch it. But no, even the right-wingers don't like that. Because you know what? Right-wingers, they like Mace Windu. You should hire Asians. They can work 48 hours a day. The thing is, like, when you look at artists, it actually matters where they're from. So if you find an artist from Taiwan, they draw for really cheap. An artist from California is going to draw for very expensive and usually shit. There's furry artists, like the furry artists are the most bizarre. They draw as if someone stuffed a pencil up their asshole and they're now moving their ass cheeks over a piece of paper. I'm not kidding. Like, horrible drawings, right? Horrible. And they charge like $2,000, $3,000 for a drawing. And I'm like, motherfucker, what? I mean, it's not his fault, you know? Like, if you can charge $2,000 for your art and people buy it, you still get commissions, then that's how much you should charge. But who the fuck pays for that? I will show you a couple of examples, but it's YouTube, so I can't show things that are not safe. But, like, Jesus Christ. So, yeah, overwhelmingly, Taiwan, #1 when it comes to art. Like, high quality. It's almost like anime style. Very polished, really well. And usually they ask for, like, $200, $300 a picture. Now, if you go to California, for the same quality, it's usually $1,000 or $2,000. So far, in my opinion, Taiwan and Singapore. Singapore, also very good. It depends where the person is from, like, because, like, if they can make a good living selling $200 worth of art, why wouldn't they? And they can undercut the Californians. V, you know Taiwan's China. You should look it up on the CCP networks. Do you know how much people from Taiwan dislike the mainland? Like, all the people that I speak from Taiwan, it's like, dude, you know that country is sending planes over my country and threatening with warfare every single fucking week. Like, I do not like them. And I'm like, alright. I'm not going to show you examples. I do not want to pick on artists or whatever. Do the research yourself. You'll find right away. You don't even need to look that much. Singapore is actually really expensive to live in. Well, I don't know. I'm just saying that the artists, they don't ask for much. At least the ones that I spoke with. The ones that ask the most are the people from California. I don't know why California has a lot of artists, but they're very expensive. I'm pretty curious how much the people from Portland ask. Like, I think that's very central in Portland. Yeah. Internet clip art. I used to charge $3,500 for a single cartoon, and I was headhunted for it. Well, Michael Guevara, DM me, and I'm genuinely curious to see what your portfolio looks like. But for $3,500, I'll probably not commission. V, check out this El Salvador crackdown gangs. I don't care, man. I don't care. I need to chillax. Need to chillax every now and then. Can't just focus on the news all the time. Look at this. This is homework for children. How old are these children? 11 years old. Ah, perfect. To get them to roleplay about sex. Harley and Drew. Read the situation, then write a response to each of the 5 pressure lines. Be sure to use at least 3 of the steps for resisting sexual pressure. Describe at least one action that reinforces the refusal. Make sure Drew's lines send a clear message about not having sex. Can you guys see my face? I don't think you can see my face. Hold on, I need to show you my face because this is This is where young kids learn how to ERP. Huh? This is where the emotional roleplay is happening in America. Look at this. Health Smart Middle School. Middle School. Student workbook. Ushi. Oh my god, I wish this is page 46. I'm curious like what's on page 45 though. Situation. Harley and Drew have been going out for a long time. They have never had sex. Lately, there have been a few times when Harley has pressured Drew to go further sexually. Each time, Drew has been able to cool things down. Drew, you're a... Well, I can't say it, because even though it's not LGBT buff, I can't really say the gamer word because I might get in trouble with YouTube. But Drew, if Harley is pressuring, why do you say no? This evening, Harley's parents are away, and Drew has come over to help babysit Harley's little brother. Man, gender roles reverse much? I don't think that I have ever heard about a guy babysitting. Not because they wouldn't want to, but like because the parents wouldn't hire. Like I remember when I was looking for a job after finishing high school, and it's like babysitter, and they mentioned female, and it's like, all right, well, I get the point. Because I would have enjoyed being a babysitter. Like you get to watch TV, you get to do stuff, and then the kid goes to bed. It's like, But anyway, after Harley's little brother has gone to bed, Harley starts kissing Drew. Drew really cares about Harley, but doesn't want to have sex. How old is this? Like, they don't mention the age of Harley and Drew, right? So, we don't know, but this is for 10-year-old children, right? Like, what were you doing when you were 10-year-old? Were you ERPing? No? Well, you missed the correct generation. You got born too fast. Should have told your mom and dad to slow down. Like, if they would have born you in 2023, you'd have gotten to do the cool stuff at school. Harley, I'm so glad my little brother finally fell to sleep. I really like kissing you. And now you have to get Drew to say no and also do an action. I am sorry, Harley, but I am gay. As such, you mean a lot to me, but unfortunately, you cannot turn me on. I am like that prince from Game of Thrones, Renly. I'm like Renly Baratheon, Harley. Renly Baratheon, you can rely on me for anything, but unfortunately, this is something that I cannot help you with, you harlot! Harley, I want to do more than kiss. What do you say? I say I will grab my camera and we can do OnlyFans, Harley. And with my knowledge of how to manipulate social media and your perfect physique, we can make millions together. Harley, we've gone this far. We cannot stop now. I agree, we need to take more pictures. Now spread them up, Harley. Spread them up, but like, do not show everything. That is for the premium members. Everyone our age is having sex. What is the big deal? I don't know, Harley. Look, I am told that I need to say no and provide you with an action. So this is what I'm going to say. I just want to show how much I love you. Then give me cash. Give me a super chat, Harley. Give me a super chat and I will. Now, it's interesting because some people are saying that this is actually promoting abstinence. 11 years old. They do not know what the fuck this is, alright? If I have, apparently it's STY and pregnancy prevention. Too early. Let the parents do it. You know, like the parent is the one that knows when the kid is ready for the conversation. Because it's true. Like some kids, like if you go, for example, you're the father, right? And you walk into your son's room, and let's say he is 11, and you find him watching le pornography. Obviously, you're going to have the talk, right? Like you didn't expect it. It wasn't in any manual. You just stumbled upon it, so now it is time for the talk with the birds and the bees. Or you either that or you leave Andrew Tate to have the conversation. But you don't want Andrew Tate to have the conversation. So, what do you mean what? Lemao. Dude, it can happen. Are you telling me it can never happen? Is this what you're telling me? Like, there is absolutely no way that you can walk into your child's bedroom and he is reading something naughty? If that happens, then you need to have the talk. Am I saying something that's unreasonable? I don't think I'm saying something that's unreasonable. Apparently, I got Maj Klazvar lunch money. Thank you for the €5, man. The parents walk in when there is fan service on the weekly anime. No, if there's fan service on the weekly anime, I would understand because I'm a little bit more forward thinking. I would know the type of anime there is, so it's fine. And again, like at 11 years old, I doubt he would even get that type of stimulation. Say I managed to uphold the TOS. But yeah, so like 11 years old, you know, he can watch the hero is overpowered but overly cautious anime. Really great anime. But yeah, so when 12 bees love a bird very much. The interesting thing though, and this is the difference between American mentality, the American school of thought, and the European school of thought. So here at the age of 14, we were told in school about the birds and the bees, right? And what we were told at the age of 14 was, number one, don't do it, but then they were like, yeah, you know, we know you're going to do it anyway, so use a fucking condom. Like, that was the mantra, the moral of the story. At the age of 14, use a condom, right? Like, now, Romania STD, one of the lowest in all times. Abortions, also incredibly low. I think we're doing a better job. I think we're like the Romanian school of thought is a lot better than the American one, where it's like never have sex ever, abstinence. And you have people at the age of 35 that aren't married. Like, do you think it's possible for a person to live up to the age of 35 while never having sex ever? I don't think so. Now, of course, you know, if you're talking to middle schoolers at their age 14 or whatever, yeah, you're telling them, like, look, abstinence until you're 18. Like, that's how it was told. It's like, abstinence until you're 18, and after that, use a condom. Like, always use a condom when having sex. I think I heard that over 20 times from teachers, and over 30 times from parents. So, it was so etched into my brain that I wouldn't even conceive having unprotected sex. So, that's the education that I got here, and I'm telling you, I think it's a lot better than it's like the unreasonable one. Oh, never abstinence. Not to mention, you know, the same people that say abstinence, I don't think they would be happy if daughter comes home with a husband at the age of 18. Like, well, we got married. Then at 14, they came again to tell us about sex and protection. Yeah, like, protection is important. I never heard because I never had a girlfriend. That's sad, Chad. Chad Krillin. Are you Chad Krillin or are you just Krillin? Huh? By golly, V, you are right. I know I'm right. I'm always fucking right. Said talks in school got really nasty by 16 because we were learning about STD, STI with pictures and videos. That's another thing, you know, like having to show pictures. In my opinion, it's a little bit too much. I mean, children aren't that dumb. You know, I'd never had to see a picture of syphilis to understand that it's not pleasant to have. I remember, like, because I went to a pro-life school, and they showed us, like, this anti-abortion video where they scrambled the brains of that, and I'm like, man, I don't fucking care. It's like... At that age, I was so fucking edgy. Like, the stuff that I saw online was, like, way, way worse than what they were showing me in that presentation. And to me, it was, like, abso-fucking-lutely hilarious. And I think, like, it was hilarious because the way they were treating me was kind of disrespectful. Like, at that young age, I felt like, okay, so they're not trusting me enough with the information. And instead, they're trying to use pictures to shock me. Like, they're trying to emotionally manipulate me, and that's what I didn't appreciate. Like, I hated that more than it's like, okay, well, the information that they're presenting me with. You can't say that, though, because when you tell impulsive children that something will feel better, they are going to said things. That's why you tell them drugs make you feel good. That's why I don't tell... Joshua! I'm telling you from Romania, alright? Like, they did tell us to use protection. And yet, we did use protection. I don't think it's like, oh, you don't tell kids that it feels good. Like, see, this is the problem with people that think like Joshua. I don't have anything against you, Joshua. Thank you for being in my chat. But I want to say the problem with you thinking like that. Like, when I was even 14, I didn't need someone to tell me that drugs make you feel good. Because it was fucking obvious. Like, I was 14, I wasn't a moron. I realized, okay, well, if drugs are bad, and yet people take them, why do they take them? Like, you know, like, my mind was working in those manners that I was, like, trying to rationalize shit. And you don't have to be like, oh, well, I never tell you it feels good. Like, of course it fucking feels good, because otherwise, like, why would people take them? Makes no sense, right? They're expensive, they cost money, they make you sick. So why did people... Oh, well, because it feels good, duh. But, like, when I had people like Joshua that I felt they're hiding things from me, like they're keeping back information from me, those people were the ones that pissed me off, and I would never listen to them. I would call them manipulators. Like, why are they trying to manipulate me? That was my rationale, and I was, like, younger than Greta Thunberg at the time. You overestimate the average 14... No, I think... Dude, you were 14. Were you literally that brain damaged that you wouldn't know? Like, that the reason people take drugs is because it feels better? Like, until some adult told you, you couldn't figure it out? Didn't you have, like, other kids you could ask? Didn't you, like, ask other adults? Like, was that information so out of your reach? Was it so out of your grasp that you were so lucky no one told you? Because otherwise you'd have gone to the drugs. Is this what you want me to believe? Because I don't think, Bree. It's 5 p.m., Bree. Why would you want me to sleep at 5 p.m.? When my mother was in school, most of these things, they never learned. It's, again, like the idea that you only need to learn them from school. Did you guys not go into the playground? Did you not play with other kids? Did you not read the fucking newspapers? I was very well informed when I was 14. I think, like, at the age of 13, I started discovering the world. By 14, I was pretty much informed about most things. I even knew how to talk about politics. At least the ones referring to my country. I didn't know about American politics. But I wasn't dumb, that's for sure. You are too cowardly to do drugs. Oh, yeah, I heard that one as well. You are a poor and innocent 14 years old. Your playground was the internet? That should be even worse. But yeah, no, like the thing, it's like, oh, you're too cowardly to do this and that. It didn't work on me at all. Because it's like, okay, yeah, I'm cowardly. So, like, what's your point? I think it's because I was surrounding myself with friends that would never say something like that. Right? So, that's why I never started smoking. Like, I never had, like, because I know there were other people, why, you're not an adult? Like, only adults smoke, and you're a kid, you don't smoke, blah, blah, blah. I never had people pressuring me into doing that. There's no way you didn't know about these things in public school. Hang out with other children? No thanks. Jesus fucking Christ. No wonder, like, so many Americans are socially awkward. Shut-ins. Other kids. Anyway, let's talk about the Gizmodo article. The chat response is and. No, I think like my response when I was 14 and someone said like you're too cowardly to do that, like usually it would be like, do you think I'm literally that moron to be manipulated so easily? Like you need to work on your manipulation tactics a little bit more. I mean, don't use a cliche, don't use a classic, like try something else. I went to a school which taught math and IT. It actually does help you think a little bit better than just memorize stuff. Anyway. No, but like at 14, like most people were aware about the tactic of like, oh, you're too cowardly to do this or you're too immature to do that. I will be like, dude, just try to manipulate me a bit better. What the fuck? So, this week, Supreme Court is hearing two cases that could upend the way we understand freedom, says Gizmodo. Both Gonzalez versus Google and Twitter versus Tamne asked the court to reconsider how the law interprets Section 230. So, from what I understand, the Gonzalez versus Google is a case involving the survivor, the family of a person who got gunned down in a terrorist attack in France. And they are suing Google because they believe the algorithm has served ISIS videos to the terrorists. Obviously, I do not believe that they're going to win, and this is due to the fact that the algorithm, at least the way they're describing it, is similar to when you go into a bookstore and you're asking which way to the comic book section, and the store owner points you to the comic book section, right? Like, the store owner doesn't endorse the comics when he does that. He's just helping you find the stuff that you want to find. And this is what the algorithm allegedly does. I'm not going to zoom it in. I'm going to read it for you, Silent Night. Shut the fuck up. I do not know the case about Twitter versus thumbnail, though. According to Gizmodo, Tumblr had a problem. It's called the pro-Ana community. Ana being short for anorexia. This was a thing on Tumblr? Really? Because I was always wondering the terms of service on YouTube. Like, you're not allowed to encourage anorexia. And I'm thinking, like, who does that? I never seen it done, but apparently it was a thing on Tumblr. People were using the social media site to encourage eating disorders and giving out tips how to avoid food. It's not illegal, but as a tech platform, it's your responsibility to control the distribution of that, to tamp it down. Yeah, you know, it's fine. Like, the idea that people don't have a life outside the internet, you know? Like, if someone is actually interested on how to avoid food, and they cannot find that on the internet, you know what they're going to do? They're going to go out, and they're going to ask the other kids in school. Or they can just ask on Discord. Are you going to censor everything? Are you going to censor the internet? So, no, I do not agree with this take. It's like, it's your responsibility as a social media platform to... No, it's not. Alright? Like, should the government listen in to what kids talk in the playground to manage to crack down on this type of thing that's not illegal? The pro-anorexia issue is an easy example of censorship most people can agree on, but no, most people can't agree on. Most people agree that you shouldn't allow your kids to be on Tumblr. That is what most people agree on. Our desire to suppress content goes much further than that. In fact, you can argue that effective censorship is the whole reason social media and tech platforms are successful. The Verge says that content moderation is the product. Yeah, the filter is the product, I keep saying. But not only that, The Verge is the journalistic outlet which released the article, "I don't care you managed to land a shuttle on a comet. Your shirt is sexist and ostracizing." They said that to the first man that ever managed to land a shuttle on a comet. Something that's incredibly difficult to do due to the mathematics involved, right? And The Verge was like, alright, but my sexismus. Because he was wearing a shirt with some ladies on it. So, I would not call The Verge on anything. They are mentally deranged. The entire publication. Every single person on the board that greenlit that article. This is limited to the web. Okay, burying some material and limiting others is essential to a functioning society. Oh my god. Are you going to show me citation or source on this? Like, the idea that censorship is essential to a functioning society, can you provide any evidence? The truth is, you love censorship, and so does everyone else. Oh my fucking god, the gaslighting. The gaslighting has started. I guess, like, now that the gas is a little bit cheaper, they can gaslight a little bit harder. Everybody complains about being censored. But at the same time, almost everybody wants to silence things that they find to be really offensive or violating their morality. Today, content moderation is controversial, especially on the right, in large part because Google, Meta, and Twitter bumbling too little too late response to misinformation about COVID-19 and 2020 election. Social media did not bumble the censorship. The censorship was so bad that you would go out and you would talk with a taxi driver or a builder, and you would realize that their experience would never be able to be posted on social media. Like, you would get banned for TOS violation if you ever recorded a taxi driver and you asked him about anything regarding COVID. You are only creating a parallel reality. where a lot of these blue check marks live in, but it has nothing to do with the real world. The conversations in the real world are uncensored, and they are exactly the way you'd expect them to be. Tucker Carlson often rails at Silicon Valley for controlling what you're now allowed to think and say in America, but at the same time, he spent last year about politically correct M&Ms. The green M&M, you will notice, is no longer wearing sexy boots, Carlson said, and this is due to the woke thing, and we need to launch a deeper investigation. I noticed that left-leaning people do not understand the difference between criticism and censorship. Like, I don't have to agree with everything someone says or does, and I can voice that, and it's not censorship. Like, Tucker Carlson was not asking for the government to shut down the M&Ms. He was not asking for, like, the chocolate suppliers to boycott M&Ms, right? Like, he didn't have, like, an activist group in order to get the newspapers to boycott M&Ms from their ads, right? He just looked at it and he found it ridiculous. And I will tell you what's ridiculous with the fucking M&Ms. It's really not a good pick to go after the M&Ms, but it's the removal of sexiness, right? Like, you're saying that sexuality is evil. That's the problem. It's not the fact that it's an M&M, but it's someone at the decision making in that company, like an actual human being, who saw the big boots on the green M&M, the sexy boots, and said, you know what, that's too much. That's horrible. We as a society do not allow sexy boots. Okay? That is what Tucker Carlson was saying. Like, he was making fun of those people and the way they think. He wasn't like, oh my god, well, no one should buy M&Ms again. And even if he was, even if Tucker Carlson would say no one should buy M&Ms again, that is still not censorship. Censorship would be if he used his influence, right? Like, organize boycotts and campaigns in order to get M&Ms deplatformed from everywhere. You know, like, try to talk with the people at YouTube and Google in order to shut down M&M's accounts. That would have been censorship. But you're allowed to say, look, I don't like that. Look, this is not something that I... That's his free speech, basically. And as Aidan is saying, it is projection. They want to shut everything down. So when they see someone on the right complaining about something, they already assume, well, this is the right wing trying to cancel culture. Bold of you to assume they don't understand, but they are being actively malicious. Probably. Would note in the US, we don't have free speech from a legal stance. It's protected speech and non-protected speech. No, I disagree. I think you do have free speech. It's in the fucking Constitution, isn't it? Elon Musk is another example for a moment. Musk was hailed as a champion, as the world's free speech absolutist. No, Elon Musk was never a free speech absolutist. At any point in time. No one even thought that. Even in the beginning, before buying Twitter, he was saying that he's not going to allow racismus. A free speech absolutist is like Count Dankula. A free speech absolutist would allow racismus. He would say, like, fuck it, no moderation whatsoever. Right? If it's illegal and the cops call, then I will make something about it. But unless that happens, I'm not touching, I don't care. Don't like what someone has to say, mute it. That's free speech absolutist. Elon Musk was never like that. So apparently a term he regularly and inaccurately uses to describe his views. He never does that. He never fucking does that, which is exactly why you're not quoting him. I do not think that for 1 second Elon Musk has ever said that he's a free speech absolutist. Quite the opposite. I can bring you quotes where he actually talks about things that he would censor. If Elon Musk was a free speech absolutist, Twitter wouldn't even have a censorship committee right now. They wouldn't even have, like, their trust and safety council. So right off the bat, Musk started banning critical journalists and adjusted the app's algorithm to promote Twitter Blue subscribers. Okay, first of all, many people criticized him for banning the critical journalists. But they were violating the TOS. Right? Like, what's more important than free speech is that the same rules should be applied to everyone. So if you say that on Twitter you're not allowed to dox, then they shouldn't dox. Right? I mean, I know many people who got banned on Twitter for doxing before the journalists. But what is shocking is that you thought that the journalists are above the TOS. If you think that people should dox on Twitter because you're a free speech absolutist, fine, you know, like contact me and we can have a stream and we can argue for it. I'm fine with free speech absolutism. But it has to be absolutism, not just doxing. Everything. That's legal, of course. Like, everything that's legal. If it's illegal, then it shouldn't be. But, like, if it's legal, if you can say it outside and not get arrested, I think you should say it on Twitter, yes. The Twitter is a private company, not the government, and can do whatever they want to vibe. Considering that he put out the Twitter files, I'd say he maintains the moral high ground. Oh, absolutely. Recently, the free speech debate... And by the way, you know, the suppression of accounts... I don't think it's a problem. Like, it's $7 fucking, right? Like, you can pay that. There's other websites that do the same thing. Before Elon Musk, apparently you had to pay $15,000 for the blue check mark under the fucking table. So, yeah, I do think that $7 is reasonable. Recently, the free speech debate has coalesced around inherently political issue. Oh, and by the way, you know, like the $7 thing for Twitter Blue, everyone can do it. But if you looked at before Elon Musk, there were people that had like 2 or 3 million subscribers and they couldn't get verified. They couldn't get Twitter Blue. So under Musk, you have de facto a fairer system than what used to be. Recently, the free speech debate has coalesced around inherently political issues, like elections or the pandemic response. But you also find people trying to protect or censor speech in areas that feel more personal. Back in the 90s, video game, TV, and hip-hop raised questions about violence, pornography in the media, and the debate didn't split along party lines. The issues even made their way to courts. The First Amendment law has broken down in that violent content is almost always protected unless it rises to the level of an actual threat or incitement, whereas sexual content has long been censored on the very vague standards of obscenity. We've landed on a system that is largely flexible, though it is often unsatisfying even to people making policy. Supreme Court Justice said that the modern interpretation of the First Amendment would only ban a violent video game depicting tortured women if she was also topless. But while we can all disagree that the actual rules, few people believe there shouldn't be any restriction on pornography or violence in the media. Hello, Mona. If it's fictional violence, go all fucking out. I don't fucking care. Especially if you have like an age rating on the box. If it's R18 or whatever. It's fictional. Oh my god, someone plays Mortal Kombat. Oh no, they performed the fatality. Oh, the horror. Censoring certain kind of content actually promotes free expression. Look at the gaslighting. How can you say this shit? Censoring certain kind of content actually promotes free expression. How? How? That's like saying pouring hot water actually makes the bathtub colder. Who wrote this shit? Let's say the hate speech problem on Twitter got even more out of control. People of color would probably feel less likely... Look what they're doing. Look what they're doing, right? So they're making a categorical statement. Censoring certain kinds of content actually promotes free expression, right? So it's a definitive statement. If things on Twitter would get even more out of control, people of color would probably feel less... Why probably? You should say they would in order to make your first statement true. Right? Otherwise, make your first statement censoring certain kinds of content would possibly promote more free expression. But you say the first one with confidence and you say the second one with a weasel word. I do think that people of color are more than capable of blocking racismus, right? You see a racist, you block him. Simple as. By the way, I want to give a shocker for journalists here. People of color use 4chan. People of color use the internet before the censoring. Like, I used to go at IRC. Do you know what I found there? People of color. I know, right? Holy shit. Yeah, they exist. I'm willing to bet that if there was racism on Twitter, you'd have more white liberals leaving than you'd have. Like, most people of color that I know have no problem with banter. In fact, some of the best trash talking in gaming you get if you play with a person of color. Like, white people can't even comprehend the level of trash talking that you can get if you play with an actual person of color as your bro. I could make a better case. Yeah, I could make a better case for censorship than this journalist. Abso-fucking-lutely. I think every Romanian could make a better case. 4chan and Gab are great illustrations. There is essentially no content moderation on the platform. What do people do with that freedom? They post porn that's legally questionable, if not unpermitted. They do that on Twitter. Have you been to Twitter? Have you been to Twitter? They do it there. There are some, like, in fact, with Twitter, you have certain artists that are risky to open in public. They post porn, they use the N-word. Yes, they use the N-word. On 4chan, there are black people that use the N-word. And they have no problem if they hear the N-word being used back. No one dies, by the way. I know it's astonishing. But I like how they present it. You know, they make it sound like on Gab and on 4chan, it's only white people, and they only post questionable porn, and they use the N-word. That's not true. There's a lot of black people on Gab as well. Right? So it's interesting, especially on 4chan, where you literally do not know the ethnicity or the racial demographic of the people posting. But yeah, like, you know, the question, what's wrong with the N-word? I remember, like, the 90s, you had many movies, like Hollywood movies, where the N-word was being mentioned. Like, it was, you had video games where it was being said, like, South Park said it. Like, it wasn't, like, the holy word that it is now. To the point where, oh my god, like, if someone says it, power word fired. You know, the offense necromancers bring it back from, like, 30 years in the past. And not to mention, like, yeah, much of the LGBT stuff can also be considered pornographic. And you get it on Twitter. Hello, great leader. On YouTube, many songs have the N-word. Well, it's a double standard, right? Like, if they were to apply it actually, and it's like, okay, you said the N-word, you get fired. I guarantee to you, like, first of all, no one would say the N-word online. And secondly, a lot of people would be upset. Yeah, South Park people that annoy you. That's a very famous episode. But what can you do? You know, you look at these journalists and you wonder, like, how on earth do they manage to work at that publication? Like, they cannot make even one coherent argument, which I guess I find it concerning. Because it's not that the journalists might be dumb, it's that this is the target audience that they're speaking to. Like, the target audience that they're talking to, they can say, actually, censorship leads to more free speech, because if we don't censor, can you imagine that possibly, maybe, minorities wouldn't use the platforms? And they don't show any evidence or anything. Guess where people do want to hang out? TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Heavy moderated. No, the reason people want to go on YouTube is not because it's heavy moderated. Right? Like, people used to go on YouTube when it wasn't heavy moderated. It was still the most popular platform. People go on YouTube because that's where creators get paid. Same with TikTok. And it's also, people want to go where the overwhelming majority of people are. I mean, most people went to Discord before it got moderated. There's no correlation between moderation and the number of users. Like, you're telling me that if YouTube wouldn't have TOS about the 2020 elections, people wouldn't go there? I have news for you. Like, people doubted the 2016 elections. And before that, people doubted the 2012 elections. And those platforms where people doubted that were still popular. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why people use YouTube. Like, number one, it's very accessible. Number two, the database of videos is very high. So, like, if you want to watch some music videos, you're going to find them on YouTube. You may not find them in other places. If you want to watch some scene from your favorite movie that was released 12 years ago, you can do that on YouTube. That's probably why, like, most people use YouTube. It's got nothing to do with the fact, oh my god, well, there's moderation. I got news for you. Like, there were many people who used to watch gore on the internet. And there used to be a time when you can also find it on YouTube. That didn't dissuade people from using the platform. I mean, all these journalists freaking out, oh my god, Elon Musk is banning our speech and blah, blah, blah. Elon Musk didn't revert the platform back to how it was in 2014. Like, Twitter in 2014 was a completely different beast. I would compare it with 4chan. Right? And for some reason, no one is pointing out, wait, hold on a little bit. Like in 2014, journalists were using Twitter just fine. It would be fun if people calling for censorship got automatically moderated. I do agree. I do fucking agree. And this is actually one of the rules that I live by. If I see a person getting censored or being harassed or anything like that for stuff they say, I will do my best to defend them. But there is one exception to that. If they called for censorship of someone else in the past. If they called for censorship for someone else in the past, they can go... if they call for censorship for someone else in the past, they can get fucked for all I care. But, so for example, Silver Veil. You know, like Silver Veil, the VTuber, many people told me, well, she's very nice, and but she's like a social justice activist. I don't care. I haven't seen her call for censorship once. I haven't seen her celebrate a single deplatforming. So you know what? Yeah, she shouldn't get the harassment that she got for playing Hogwarts. Elon Musk is banning journals? Oh no. Anyway. In 2014, Gamergate was suppressed by Twitter. No, it wasn't actually. There were some accounts getting banned. But overwhelmingly, the conversation of Gamergate happened on Twitter. It's why the Gamergate hashtag existed. So Gamergate conversation happened on Twitter and on 4chan. But Reddit was the one banning it. YouTube didn't ban it. YouTube had like the DMCA stuff with Mundane Matt. What if they were like ban ISIS from Twitter? We actually talked about that at law school, I remember. But it was like 2011 or something like that. And... at the time, this was like Romania law school. It's like the morality, the ethics. Should ISIS be banned? And we came to the conclusion that no, they shouldn't. Because that's how you can listen to what they have to say, right? So like, it's better than them talking in underground, basically, and plotting things in the dark. But like, if they're out in public, then people can be disgusted by who they are and what they're doing. Like, that was the thing that we discussed at law school at the time. It wasn't about ISIS, though, because I don't think they even existed at the time. It was about the Taliban or, you know, whatever the terrorist flavor of the day was. But, yeah, like, that was the thing. You know, like, the gruesome acts should be pixelated or censored in the image so that you can't see, like, the gory details. But, yeah, like, people should be able to listen to that. Sure. I don't think that censorship is the solution. I think good information is the solution. You know, countering that information. Like, for every ISIS video, there should be, like, 5 other videos debunking them and explaining why they're wrong. But, anyway. I always thought that Gamergate was about female journalists forcing game developers to sleep with them. No. Like, it was... so it wasn't forced. What happened was, like, there was this game journalist... Sorry, this female game journalist. Which was very connected in the industry. And she slept with 5 journalists. 5. No one denied that. Like, that's what's interesting. Like, they keep saying, oh, well, her ex-boyfriend posted a disgruntled blah, blah, blah. She never denied that she didn't sleep. And the problem is, like, one of those game journalists had a wife. And I genuinely think that's what started everything. Right? Like, the fact that he was married. So, they used their connections on Reddit, NeoGAF, a couple of other websites to immediately shut down all the conversations about it. And that's how Gamergate started. And honestly, it wasn't the fact that most people cared about the initial drama. There was a lot of push from the journalists to wokeify gaming for a while, and they were also doing bad business practices by giving reviews that they shouldn't give to certain games. And gamers were really upset with the journalists. So they were just looking for a reason. She gave Gluck Gluck 9000 Deluxe for good reviews. I don't even know if it was for reviews or whatnot. But again, like, going with 5 game journalists, and this is during the peak of feminism, right? And she was also like, if you're cheating, it's like rape, because your significant other would not have consented had she know you're cheating, right? And then she's cheating on her boyfriend 5 times. That's the reason that people were like, oh, come on. I gave thousands to feminist frequency. Man, do you see me swimming in super chats like Gargura to be able to give feminist frequency thousands? To be honest, it's kind of funny. Like, not only did she went bankrupt, but she wasn't paying her staff. One of her staff members was a transgender person, and she wasn't paying that person. You have no idea how hard they were pushing that nonsense. Yeah. I remember, like, the first feminist video I seen in gaming, it made absolutely no sense. Because it was like this guy on GameSpot, and he was like, oh my god, how can people say these things? And it was just like reasonable comments. People basically saying that, why does it matter if we have representation in gaming? Like, the focus should be on the gameplay. Why does it matter if the character is a woman or a man? Like, I don't care. And he was like, shocked. And I was like, why is he shocked? Like, all of those seem to be decent comments. There was like another woman getting harassment, and the guys were like, why can't she just block? Right? Like, why can't she just mute the person? And I was like, yeah, why can't she mute the person? And he was like, oh, how can you think like this? Think about that for the 5 Polish money. By the way, are Russian troops amassing at the Polish border? That's what I heard. I need to check after this video, though. Is Anita going to pretend to be a conservative just to get people paying her? If Anita pretends to be a conservative, I would pay her. Yes, I would give her 5 Polish zloty. Like, literally the next day. Like, that would be the most hilarious thing ever. I wouldn't even care if she is conservative or not. But just the fact that I could have Anita Sarkeesian as a conservative would be funny as hell. Hello, Dapper. Give Masa gazebo money. I'm not getting a gazebo anymore. I'm making a video game. I'm making Succubi. That's what I'm making. I just had a good day. Well, don't worry about that. From my understanding, Poland has a stronger military than Ukraine, so... Not to mention Romania would come to help. I would have to get drafted. Because we're in NATO, so there's that. Your body is trans too? The succubi that I'm making are not going to be trans, unfortunately. They're going to be cis. I'm going to make cisgender, straight succubi. All of them are straight. Heteronormative. I remember when Shy Lily actually announced that she is straight, and it blew the minds of like so many people. It was like a coming out of the closet type of thing. So Shy Lily is the... I think like she's the most viewed VTuber right now on Twitch. Can you even be drafted at 37? Legally, no, but I'm pretty sure they would change the law. Anyway. She came out and she said, like, look, I'm straight. And people were like, bah. Being straight is kind of what defines a succubus. I guess it depends on the lore. But anyway, let me show you Shy Lily. So she comes out as straight. And people were like, oh. Let me see if I can find the article actually. Shy Lily is straight. Lily is 99.99% straight. Unfortunately, I cannot find it. But it did happen. Source, trust me, bro. And I am talking about VTuber, yes. Anyway, right. Go ahead, government, draft me, see what happens. You're going to be stuck in a ditch in the cold if the government drafts you. That's what will happen. Take into account that sometimes it's actually safer to be drafted than to be in your house. It depends on many factors, but imagine that you're in your house, you're a civilian, and the enemy army advances, and you're now behind enemy lines. They will probably go into your house and take your shit. Especially if it's in Eastern Europe. And if you oppose that, you may get shot. Meanwhile, if you get drafted, you're probably set to drive a truck as logistics. And you have to drive the truck up and down a hill. Still not safe, but it's a lot better in my opinion than to sit at home and have to deal with that type of shit. Yeah, location, 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 exactly. The Russians can try. Dude, they have full semi-automatic ghost guns, weapons of war. What are you going to do about it? I'll catch up to the enemy and give away base locations and our troop movements. Why do you think you even would know that? Like, unless you're an officer, all you know is that, alright, you're in this school. And some idiot from Reddit takes pictures of it. And tomorrow you're going to go... Actually, you don't even know where you're going to go tomorrow. You just follow the officer and he tells you. Like, there's a reason why privates don't make for really good interrogation tactics. Right? And why they take the officers and they separate them from the privates. Like, you don't know much. You probably don't even know if you're winning, to be honest. Because in order to keep high morale, they will not tell you the bad news. So, the only thing you know is, like, where you're at and where you may go tomorrow. And it's also vague. It's like, yeah, tomorrow we're going to the front line. Where? You don't know. Well, that is exactly how it works, yes. Drive the supply truck. Okay, drive supply truck away. Alright, and then you get stopped at a checkpoint. You do realize there's checkpoints, and like you drive it away. You may get shot if you drive it away. By enemy fire, most likely. But even friendly fire, because they would wondering like, why is this truck coming towards us? I'll still be issued a weapon which I can friendly fire. Dude, I keep hearing this bravado, but like, we have seen the draft in Ukraine and Russia. I think like there was only one case. Like yeah, every now and then you might get a crazy person. But like the way they are doing the drafting and the way they are organizing this is to such a level that it doesn't really happen. Anyway. We have in my country over 1 million Ukrainian people. 10 million Czech Republic. Alright, thank you for watching this. Thank you for the super chats. And I'll probably stream at a later hour tomorrow. V, you underestimate how much I hate my government and would want us to do... Oh, shut up, man. I do not believe. Like, when the time comes, if you get drafted, you're going into the front lines. You're not doing any of that shit. Thank you for the $4.99 subject to change. Unfortunately, I'm just ending the stream, so... Anyway, right. See you guys.